Hello, you guys. Welcome back to Lily Reads. Okay, so in this video, we are going to talk about the lowest rated books that I have read this year so far. There are so many videos on the booktube about this, like people reacting to the lowest rated books, reading reviews, reading low rated reviews of my favorite books, people trying to pitch you to read low rated books that they like. There's so many videos. So like I'm somewhere in there. So shout out to all the girls. But in this video, I am going to be looking at Goodreads. So this is based off Goodreads ratings. And we are going to see if I agree with the lowest rated books that I have read this year. So based off their Goodreads score, these are the lowest rated books that I read this year. Now, there can be many reasons why a book is low rated. Maybe a lot of people haven't read it. Maybe people just think it's bad or anything. Because I think the highest rated book, we'll do a video on my highest rated books. I think it just comes from the fact that, the book is popular and, a bunch of people are reviewing it and it's getting high reviews. That's just how it happens. So let's go into the low rated book. So let's start with the lowest rated book. The lowest rated book I read this year was How to Marry Keanu Reeves in 90 Days. This book is sitting at a 2.88 on Goodreads. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. So like around the same exact thing. But, and this book does not deserve this rating. This should not be the lowest rated book that I read this year. This book should not have a 2.88. A 2.88 means this book is absolutely terrible. And most people think this book is absolutely terrible, but it's not. Number one, I think either a lot of people are giving this book 3 stars. A lot of people are giving this book 3 stars. So then if you have someone who comes around and gives it 2 or 1, it's going to look like a 2.88 because I think this book is just a 3-star book. And I think the reason why this book is low rated is number one, Keanu Reeves names in the title. Keanu Reeves is very famous, so it's going to attract a lot of people to read it. But this book is not really about Keanu Reeves. She does not end up with Keanu Reeves at the end of this book. Spoiler alert. So you have people who will be upset with that. This book ends up just being a black romance book. You got a lot of people who don't like black romance. So that's a reason too. And also, I just think that this book is not going to have a lot of people who give it 5 stars to yank up that rating. So if a bunch of people are giving it a 3, you're not going to have a lot of people who decide to yank it up and give it a 4 or 5. So it's just going to always sit around the 3. But 2.88, no, I do not believe this book deserves to be the lowest rated book that I read this year because this is not the worst book that I read this year. And I honestly believe it's objective. This is not the worst book that I read this year. So next we have The Lifestyle. The Lifestyle is sitting at a 3.37. There's many reasons why this book is at a 3.37. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, so obviously I do not agree. But the reason why this book has a 3.37 is that the main character does not act in ways that I think people want main characters to act. Our main character is pushy. Our main character can be rude. Our main character can be judgy. And this book does have a romance element that I think a lot of people don't enjoy in this book. They don't like not the outcome of the romance, but the way the romance comes to be. People don't feel like the romance is really compelling in a way. But I disagree with all of those. So I think the main character of this book is 100% why this book has a low rating. I read some of the reviews and a lot of people don't like the main character, but an annoying main character has never made me fully hate a book. If you're an annoying main character, but I feel like there's potential in you, like you are still like an interesting character, then I like you. And that was The Lifestyle for me. This book is going to get a lot of people not to read it because it has such a low Goodreads rating. But I think this book is so enjoyable. It's one of my favorite books that I read this year. It's a book that I want to revisit in the future. No, I do not believe this book deserves to be at a 3.37. Are you serious? I liked it. The next book that we have is A Love Hate Thing. A Love Hate Thing is sitting at a 3.40. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. I believe this is right where it needs to be, honestly. 3.40. There's nothing I can really say to try and convince you that it's too low or that it even needs to be lower. This is a perfectly mediocre book. I think I don't want to use that word because it's so mean, but it is. To me, it's perfectly mediocre. It's not doing anything all that interesting. It's really forgettable. Like, I want to say, like, this is why people don't like this book. I don't remember this damn book. I don't remember nothing that happened in this damn book. It's a little clunky. I do remember it kind of being clunky. It's not as interesting as the pitch would have you believe. I just think overall the book is a letdown, and so I think a lot of people are giving this book 3 stars. A lot of people are giving this book 3 stars, maybe around the time it came out, because people told me to read this book. You do have people who do like this book, so that's what's yanking it up to that 3.4. So I think it's right where it needs to be. A few people do like this book. Most people are just fine on the book. 3.4, where it needs to be. The next book we have, When We Were Bright and Beautiful, is sitting at a 3.43. I totally disagree. This is a 5-star book. This is a 5-star book in my opinion, but I do understand why this is sitting at the rating that this is sitting at. People don't like the ending. People do not like the ending of this book. This book is a controversial ending, and it's dealing with a very polarizing topic. It's dealing with a topic that a lot of people, have opinions on and strong opinions on. And so when you get the outcome of the book, all of these people who have either lived this trauma or just have opinions on this trauma, they don't like the outcome of this book. And so they get on Goodreads and they're just like, I hate this book. This book is terrible. But I do not believe you should base books on just like your reviews on books of just one element of the book. If the book doesn't turn out the way you want it to, when it comes to the outcome of a book or the results of a book or how characters end up in a book, I think you should ask yourself, is the outcome earned? It's all about, is the outcome earned? When I talk about a negative outcome in a book, or I didn't want the book to turn out this way, it's because I don't feel like it's earned. I can get on board with any outcome. I can't tell a writer how to write their book, and you can't tell a writer how to write their book, like what should happen in their book. The idea is getting me on board. Did you get me on board with the outcome? Does this make sense with what you put on the page? That is where I decide if the outcome is worthy or not and what I'll review the book. There's plenty of books that I love that don't have outcomes that I think are good. I would rather something else have happened for characters that I like, or something to happen to characters that I don't like. But I felt like this is how the book had to end. And that's how I feel about this book. No, I'm not happy with the outcome of this book. Yes, I wish other things happened in this book, but this is what had to happen. This is the outcome this book had to have. This, I think, leaves the biggest effect on the reader. That's why you're so upset in the Goodreads comment, because it has such an effect on you. And so I believe that this book is perfect. I think this is a perfect book. 5 out of 5 stars. Probably my favorite book that I've read this year, around my favorite book that I read this year. I totally disagree with people. I think people who are just upset with the outcome are dragging this Goodreads rating down. But I think if you read the author's note of the book, you would understand why the writer of this book had to make the outcome of the book, because it's the most realistic outcome. I think if everything ended in sunshine and rainbows, it would be unfair to the rest of the book, and what this book is trying to teach. So I say that to say, y'all wrong. The next book we have is sitting at a 3.43, New York, My Village. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. So, do I agree with the rating? No, because I gave it 4 stars. But do I understand the rating? 100%. This, of all the books that I have read this year, this is the book that constantly, I'll just be cooking dinner, and the things that this book did will come back to my mind. This is the book that I constantly revisit in my head. And for that, I understand why people don't like it. This book is easy to dislike. This book is so easy to dislike. This book takes you on a ride. It's long, and sometimes you're not on board for the ride. I think it's one of those books, if you get it, you get it. But I totally can see people being like, this is a 1-star book, 2-star book, and people who are like, I love this book. I really think some interesting things are happening. And then you also have that a lot of people have not read this book. So this 3.43, I actually think it's actually remarkable that this book even has a 3.43, because if you read this book is wacky. This book is really, really wacky. So the fact that it's able to sit at a 3.43 and it has very few ratings shows that there are people who totally understand this book. I think I'm someone who's starting to really understand this book. So no, I don't agree with the rating. I think this is a 4-star book, but I do understand why there are some people who are just like, oh no, I don't want nothing to do with it. That's my thoughts. The next book that we have is Patience is a Subtle Thief. This book is sitting at a 3.45. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I stand on that. Do I think this book is low rated and it deserves it? I think the most this book that I think it's ever could be is like a 3.6. I think the ending of this book is a little clunky. And so if you don't really enjoy the first part, like I enjoyed the first part, I could see you giving this book 3 stars and going about your business. The reason why I gave this book 4 stars, this book is really surprising. You don't expect this book to be what this book is, and I think that's for the best. And so like, no, I don't agree with the rating, but I think at most, I think this book deserves to be at like a 3.6. You have some people giving it 4 stars, some people giving it 3.5. I think this book is a 3.6 book, and so I'm not mad at this rating. But it's just one of those books where like, number one, a lot of people haven't read it, and then like the ending is a little clunky. It's one of those books where like I think people aren't going to enjoy the ending. Like, ooh, this should have been a different ending. Therefore, I see why the girls are giving it that. The lowest rated books I read this year. Now, I'm never going to agree with the Goodreads rating. You have to understand, I am not like the girls. Like, I call them, like, the popular books are always like, Allie Hazelwood books are always going to have 4 stars. They're always going to be in the 4s. Like, they just are. They're popular. Tessa Bailey, like, they're gonna be up there. And so, like, I haven't been moved by their books like that, but they're popular and people like what they like, and I'm not about to sit up here and shit on what people enjoy. Like, that's them. So I'm never going to be in that number. The books that I enjoy, I don't take Goodreads ratings to heart because I'm never in that number. I'm not going to read the most popular books of the year and enjoy them. Like, it's just not going to happen. Find me the most popular books of last year and I hated them. My unhaul list, my DNF list for the year is The Ninth House, Hooked, Line, and Sinker, The Paris Department, and Love on a Ring. All of those were books that were popular. And I DNF'd them, so I'm never going to be that girl. Sorry. But if some of y'all are, and that is fine. Like, meet in the middle, dance all night. Like, it's just not that serious, you know? We will move on. The next book is at a 3.45, and that is Your Driver is Waiting. I see exactly why this is sitting at exactly what it is. This is one of the lowest rated books for me that I read this year. I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. I'm surprised this book isn't lower, but it's not lower because you always gonna have somebody. It's like me and Pizza Girl, how Pizza Girl has a really low rating, but I'm like, I get it, and you girls just don't get it. That's what this book is going to have. You're gonna have people who say they get it, and like, that's fine. If you get it, you get it. I get Pizza Girl, and Pizza Girl is literally one of the lowest rated books I own. So you have people who are going to say they get it, and that's kind of jacking up the score to a 3.45 because honestly this book should be sitting around that 2.88 that the Keanu Reeves book is looking at. I didn't enjoy this book. So this is like the only book where I gave it a lower rating than what it's actually sitting at. So yeah, no, I get it. 3.45, and it could be lower. It could be lower to me. The next book is Youre Invited. Youre Invited is sitting at a 3.54. I gave this book 2 stars, so clearly I get it. I don't understand this book. I don't think this book is a good thriller. I don't like this type of book. I've learned that I just do not like. And so I probably shouldn't have even picked it up to begin with, but I always think this, like, one person is missing, one person is dead, we're stuck on an island, we're stuck on this vacation, who did it, what's going on? I always think I'm going to find these interesting, and I never do. The word is a locked room mystery. I always think I'm going to like a locked room mystery, and I don't. I find them boring. I find that they drag. I just want to know what is going on, and like, it takes forever to figure out what's going on, and then when we get to what's going on, it's never that interesting, and that's why I can like domestic thrillers, and a lot of people don't. I enjoy the ride. So even if a domestic thriller doesn't turn out the way I think that it should, I enjoy the ride. But with these types of books, I don't enjoy the ride. Then I hate how they turn out. So I always give them 2 stars. So You're Invited, I totally get, and it could honestly be lower if you ask me. The next one, The Last to Vanish, sitting at a 3.54. Totally disagree. Most people, this book is sitting the way it is because most people find this book boring. I've seen y'all Goodreads review this book. Most people find this book absolutely insufferable and boring, but I think you're wrong. I think this book has one of the, it's such a good ending. The ending of this book is so good to me. The ride of this book is so good to me. I love a little town. I was interested in the entire time, and what I was so interested in was how all of these pieces were going to come together, and I think they came together well. I think this is a 4-star book, and I think it's Megan Miranda's best book. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. It's so crazy that all the other Megan Miranda books I read sit up there in the 3.6 and 7/8, and this one is sitting at 3.57. Like, no, this is the best Megan Miranda that I have read, and so no, I do not agree with the rating. It should be higher. I mean, it's sitting at 3.57. It's the 3.8. Maybe 3.8 is what I feel like it should be at, but I get it. I get why people don't like, because it is boring. So I guess the point is, do I get the rating? Yeah, I get it. But do I agree? No. The next low-rated book that I read, and the last low-rated book that I read, because I consider anything 3.6 and below low-rated. Anything 3.6 and below, I think is low-rated. The Wrong Kind of Weird. Read this book for Black History Month. I wanted to read some new Black YA. I totally agree with this rating. Out of all the ratings, I agree with this rating the most of any book. This is a 3.59 book. This book just doesn't, it goes around the point. You're literally there. The good book is in the middle. The good book is in the middle. So we're all trying to find the good book that's in the middle. This book just skirts around it. It skirts around it and never hits the bullseye of what could make this book really interesting. This book has some interesting elements, an interesting idea, an interesting premise. It just never, it's a short book and never quite sticks the landing for me. So I totally agree with the rating. I gave this book 3 stars. So what can you know? I think some people could really like the book. It has some interesting elements, so that's where you get people giving it 4 star. Some people really don't like it. So 2, 3, 3.5. I agree. I agree with the rating. And with more people reading it, I think it's only going to get lower. That's my thoughts. So those are the lowest rated books that I read this year. And you know what? I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with you guys rating. I enjoy most of these books. I thought most of these books were very much so enjoyable. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.